Go through the presentation.
So you're going to reenact it?
Nope. I'm going to go through some of the slides and get some information about.
Just highlights really short?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll give Diego a few minutes to go ahead and load up the presentation, but good afternoon, Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works. We have two different presentations for Public Works. This is day one. Wanted to break it up into two different days. I didn't want to overload the council with all the information because we do have quite a few different divisions in Public Works. So we use the enterprise fund as a starting point here. So that's the overview of our department. We are the largest department in the city, and you can see it on the screen there. Quite a bit of staff members and a lot of budget that runs through our department. And like I said, we have this broken up into two different presentations, and tonight we'll concentrate on the enterprise funds. We do have a component of this, that's our stormwater. Stormwater does fall underneath our wastewater division. It's not an enterprise fund, it's funded by a couple different components, but it does fall underneath our wastewater division, and so we included in tonight's. So we can see our water, where we get our sources of water. Those of you that participated in the water rates, you've seen this slide before, and I have had this conversation with a couple of you during briefings. This is the sources of water that we have. And then we have our different customers, if you will, from residential all the way to agricultural. The majority of our customers, as most of you know, is residential, whether that's single-family residential or multifamily residential. We do have a lot of critical infrastructure that we operate, maintain, and repair, and that runs from our wastewater treatment facilities. That's a picture of our desalter all the way through our groundwater wells. We do have quite a few of things that are underground that you can't see. But they're there. Unfortunately, sometimes they do break and we have to repair them. You may have seen them out there at night or during the day repairing those. And then we do have a very highly qualified staff that is mandated by the state to have certain certifications to operate the water. We do produce quite a bit of water. You can see there, 23 million gallons per day. Now we're talking about our potable water system right now, not our recycled water. And we have over 57,000 customer service requests per year, and we do a lot of outreach, which a lot of that has to do with, if you've been through them, conservation components to that. We do have giveaways, but a lot of it has to do with conservation. Some of that, if you've been to some of our conservation and educational events, also has to do with like drought tolerant landscaping and things like that. So if you wanted to participate in those things, you can get some good information about that.
I'm sorry, hold on one second. Mayor Pro Tem Jefferson.
And along those lines, Mr. Wolf, I just want to thank your staff for their engagement with the public on that. When my daughters were younger, they would look for the water trucks because they knew that they saw that there were like little giveaways that if you went to the water trucks, they would be looking for them. So that certainly engaged them in conservation and being mindful of that. And they still have a little timer, the little hourglass that they have in the shower for water conservation. So just wanted to give a shout out to your team on that.
That's correct. They will give those things away. We also, sometimes we do those events, we'll give those away, whether that's the timers for the showers or the moisture probes for your landscape and things like that. We have a long list of milestones and accomplishments, and a lot of that is, the very first page here is associated with the current council policy or council priority, is the progress to ensure adequate future water supply. So that is something that is a current council priority, and you could see some of the things on the screen that we have been working towards to do that. And when you have, or if you do have questions, we can go over those, but those are the things that we have been working on over the last several years as staff members to make sure that we have adequate water supply in the future. These next milestones and accomplishments are really related to capital projects, whether they're in certain different phases, whether they're planning and design or completed capital projects. As you know, a big component of what we do is maintenance and operations, but a much larger component of that, if you take a larger step back, has to do with capital projects. We're not without challenges and roadblocks, if you will. There's things on here that we can discuss in detail. Regulatory things that we don't control, like regulatory agencies. Obviously, we don't control the weather. If I control the weather, I wouldn't be standing here. And things that are outside of our control, increased cost of goods and services. The one thing I want to remind everybody, when we did the cost of service for the water rates, for those of you who were participating into that, we, in order to keep our rates lower, we had a CIP execution factor that was in the 25 and 35%. So we do not currently execute our CIP at 100% per year. And that was one of the goals that we suggested to the city council at the time, was to try to keep our rates as low as possible, is to have a reduced CIP factor. So that's one of the things that you see here. It's one of our challenges, is that we right now have a CIP factor that's in that 25 to 35%. So we're not executing CIP at 100% because of that. So these are the recommendations going forward for water and recycled water.
Mr. Wolf, on your previous slide, excuse me for interrupting, tried to get your attention earlier, but one of the issues that you have, groundwater basin adjudication and some of the challenges you've mentioned, they include sometimes we have to get involved in litigation to protect the city of Oxnard and the residents and their rights to water. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're actually in an active lawsuit, adjudication, where we are making sure that we have the rights to groundwater. Groundwater is the least expensive source of water for the city of Oxnard. We have multiple sources of water, groundwater being one of them, that we pump our own. We also get groundwater through United. So making sure we have access to that source of water is important for us going forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So looking forward, you know, what we would recommend to the council, as the city manager talked about, is, you know, what is it that we're looking forward to in terms of priorities going forward. We do recommend continuing the priority of ensuring adequate water supply, and those things on the screen will help us do that, right? That's capital projects, that's looking at our deferred maintenance, and that'll be a theme throughout all the divisions. There's quite a bit of deferred maintenance that we have, and that's something you'll see in all divisions that will be presented tonight, and even in day two. And then reliable water sources, economical water sources, and we still have to deal with the state and federal regulations, things that are outside our control. Wastewater, very similar setup here, where we have a very large facility. It not only serves the city of Oxnard, it actually serves a regional component of this. So we not only serve the city of Oxnard proper, we serve naval bases and a few other areas outside the city of Oxnard jurisdictional boundaries. You can see some of the stats that are on the screen there. There's quite a bit of customers. Again, talked about the ones that are even outside the city of Oxnard. Also, there are facilities that it's hard to see because they're underground, right? It's not just the facilities that you see down at the end of Perkins Road. There's over 400 miles that are underground. And then quite a bit of very highly qualified and certified staff that have to operate that. And it's a 365, 24 hours, 7-day-a-week operation. This is one that does not stop. And you don't want that to stop. You don't want that to continue to operate. Various milestones and accomplishments. A lot of things are about the efficiency of this plant. This is a very old plant that was designed and constructed a long, long time ago. And so part of what this team does is to take a look at it and what can be done from an efficiency and effectiveness standpoint. And I'll point out that everywhere you see that little symbol, which is supposed to be a water drop with three green arrows, everything that has that on it is a step towards improving our recycled water process, which allows us to potentially improve our indirect potable reuse, which is looking forward towards a reliable and sustainable potable water source. So this is the wastewater system, but it will help us in the potable water process. So everywhere you see that, that's the ultimate goal. Some more of our milestones. These are, again, all of these on this page are construction projects, CIP projects. Again, not without any challenges and roadblocks. Some of the very similar things that you saw on the water side of the house. The one interesting one on this one is the declining inflows. So that plant has seen some high inflows of sewer water, and every year since 4 or 5 years ago, we've seen a decline in that, and so we have to address that in certain ways. Like, how are we addressing that from a operations and treatment standpoint, but also how that may affect our recycled water process and how we can potentially make sure the output at AWPF is what it needs to be with the declining inflows.
Can you just tell us what you attribute the declining inflows to? Do you have any theory on why that's happening?
So there are a couple of potential reasons why that is. We're seeing that also on the water consumption side of the house. So a lot of that's water conservation. So the less water that somebody uses inside their house, obviously that results in less water going down the sewer and less water going into the plant. So we have seen a decline in water consumption. So that could be conservation. That could be as people make a decision about being more wise about how they use water. So it could be that component of it. So that is one of the leading theories of why we're seeing a reduction in inflows in the sewer plant, because we are also seeing a reduction in consumption of potable water.
Yeah, go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for that, Mr. Wolf. And I would say that from my own personal experience, I've seen that as well in replacing previously old appliances, just even washer, replacement of that, replacing of actual toilets and faucet heads. I did see a marked decline in my own water usage at home. And then also making the conscious effort for washing cars, we would go to a car wash where it's an automatic car wash, and they do, their required thing for capturing water or making sure it goes to where it's supposed to go. And those things, well, it may seem like small things. I did see a significant change in my own water usage within my home. So if that's just me, just one household, one water customer, if you multiply that times however many people have similar train of thought or upgrade items in the home that use water, it makes sense that we would see a decline, which on the conservation side is a good thing. I think on the sustainability side as a enterprise fund, certainly it's something we have to factor in as well, but I appreciate the response on that.
Right, and so the high efficiency laundry machines, the high efficiency dishwashers, or whatever it is that you may have at the house, the low flow toilets, the low flow shower heads, those certainly play into that conservation, and that's part of the new construction requirements, and then the retrofits that some folks are doing in their homes. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say the dishwasher in my home is actually myself and my daughter, so I don't know how efficient we are, but we're not mechanical, so.
But the potentially the faucet that's in there may be a low flow faucet, right? So looking forward in terms of future needs and priorities, those are the items that we're recommending that the council look at. And capital projects and deferred maintenance. Again, you'll see this as a kind of a broken record for us, that is the staff's recommendation, that council look at executing capital projects that are already on the list and addressing the deferred maintenance. And the big issue there is anything that, or the big focus there is anything that has a connection to improvements to AWPF, that is a priority for us. And then we have some internal things, staffing, economic stability, and obviously the one there is the things that are outside our control, which is things like regulatory requirements. Stormwater is a component that is managed through the wastewater division, they don't utilize the enterprise funds. It's funded through general fund and the county tax benefit assessment units. That image there is the trash capture devices that we have installed throughout the city and those catch basins there. But this is a division that does maintain those catch basins on a routine basis. And you can see some of the photos before and after and how many miles of storm channel that they clean. They do handle the MS4 permit. We do work on a regional level. This is one of the things that we work on a larger regional level. As you can imagine, the rain doesn't just fall in Oxnard. The rain falls, lots of different places, then flows. So we have to work with our regional partners on this one. So this is, one of the things that we have to do. And you can see in our challenges that's one of our regional coordination issues that we have to have is we have to work with our neighboring jurisdictions because that water does obviously flow once it falls from the sky. And then there are a lot of regulatory issues associated with this from an MPDS and a permitting requirement. So the big one here going forward is this is one that doesn't have its own funding source. This is not one that's an enterprise fund. And so as we're seeing these permit requirements, this is going to be one that the council is going to have to take a look at and potentially put a priority on from our perspective, because this is not one that we can say, well, you don't have to do it. This is going to be a permit requirement, and the state has made this a unfunded mandate, if you will. And so it's not if we need to build it, it's when we need to build these structural BMPs. And so this will be a big one for us going forward. And then the next one on the list is environmental resources. And a lot of you were part of, or some of you were part of our cost of service analysis and our rates. And so this is some very familiar information. So I'll skip through a lot of this. We do have over 41,000 residential and commercial customers, and we handle a lot of municipal solid waste. In fact, if you wanted to make a comparison to the Empire State Building, it's, a lot of the Empire State Building in terms of weight is how much we handle in any one calendar year. So quite a bit. And it's our largest division in Public Works, 182 employees, and as you can imagine, to get throughout the city to pick up all that trash every week, there's a lot of vehicles. This team also does a lot of outreach. They do a lot of really cool education with the kids, a lot of good events that go with that. I think some of you have seen the events up here where they give the awards away for the pictures that the kids draw, and they put them on the side of some of our solid waste trucks. This is unfortunately one of the ones that we have to deal with. This is our illegal dumping. A lot of you get this update very routinely, and it's an unfortunate item that we deal with in the city of Oxnard, and it happens a lot of places. This is not just city of Oxnard. I'm always amazed about how many refrigerators we pick up every month. It just amazes me where these refrigerators come from. I'm not sure. But it's something that we do, and you can see on there that we pick up quite a bit. 9.6 million pounds of trash from 2021 until August of 2025. And again, 2,000 refrigerators. Again, not sure where those come from.
Bit over 4 years ago.
So that, let me go back. That is in that span. So July 2021 to August 2025, those are the stats for that.
It's about 500 fridges a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead.
And before you move on to the next slide, Mr. Wolf, can you share with us and the public how much it costs to take a mattress to the Del Norte facility?
Yeah, that's an easy one. It's zero. $0. Well, the cost of gas, I guess, you have to get it there.
Sure.
So it's free to dump it off. Yeah, so we have a state program that allows for free drop off of mattresses at the Del Norte. And so we have quite a few ways of doing this. So we not only have that program every day that we're open at Del Norte, but we also have the free drop off days that happen a couple times a year at Del Norte. We have, if you have an active neighborhood council, we have that day that comes up, and then we have the bulky item pickup that all account holders get one time a year. So we have quite a few ways for that to get disposed of.
Thank you.
Some of the very similar challenges and roadblocks. The one thing that's new on here that you haven't seen in other places or other divisions is zero emission vehicles, and that is that state mandate to convert some of the larger trucks that meet certain requirements to transition those to zero emission vehicles. The customer compliance one, I think, is a unique one as well, is that these state mandates, and you can think of SB 1383 or the organics, recycling, those kinds of things. We have to rely on our customers to be compliant with that. Like that's not that's not city staff in our Del Norte facility. We have some requirements, but that's not us being in compliance. That's our customers being in compliance. So we have to go out and inform our customers about how to be in compliance with that. And so that's a big one. That's education and information that goes out to our customers. Going forward, those are some of the recommendations. A lot of it has to do with compliance issues with state regulations, working with our partners on grant opportunities to try to keep our rates as low as possible, and then long-term asset management planning. Those kinds of things are recommendations going forward. We also want to make sure that we're training and keeping and retaining our staff members, things like that. And the last one is the golf course. We do have an enterprise fund, which is the golf course, and it's standard revenue there, green fees and driving range fees. We do have an event space that is out there, and they're working on potentially upgrading the event space. And then you can see the revenue that's been there for the last couple of years. This is all underneath AGC, American Golf Corporation. And the good news is that the last several years has allowed us to build up a fund balance in our reserves, which is allowing us to address deferred maintenance. That golf course the infrastructure has been there for many, many years. And we're now able to address some of the things like the clubhouse roof replacement, things like that, which are in desperate need of replacement. And so those are the things we talked about. This is one of the divisions that deals a lot with homeless activities based on the adjacency to the riverbed there. So they do a lot of interaction with the homeless. They have to work with the police department on a routine basis and lock things up and unlock things on a nightly basis and dealing with those things. And unfortunately, a few things get stolen and have to get replaced. And so going forward, one of the or a few of the things that we're looking at there is on-course improvements, and so that's turf reduction, and that's also bunker improvements, and then, like I said, they're looking at doing renovation, event space renovation, and potentially a driving range renovation as well.